ready. The final heat coming up for the World Fitness Finals.
Laura, first overall on the Copenhagen leaderboard. If she holds, she takes down the tour spot. See Amy Kringle, second place overall. She's going to need to overtake Laura for that top spot and have Laura slip in order to win the tour points.
Out there on the floor, I'm on my own. In the grind that never really ends.
Amy Kringle, oh, she is finding a way!
But what carries me through it starts at home.
Laura's got to hurry. The other scores are starting to factor in.
Laura, minden okés, nem kell magyarázkodni.
With the people who have been there from the very beginning.
Azt akarom csak mondani, hogy mi Bocóban nagyon büszkék vagyunk rá.
But they are the one who keep me grounded, who remind me who I am beyond the sport.
Your WFP Season Champion.
So when I was younger, school wasn't my priority. It was the after-school activities were my priority. So I either went to the climbing gym, or I also did some volleyballs. I played badminton.
When we started doing fitness, we didn't have a gym close by.
He started doing it in the climbing gym. He made my parents buy like a barbell, plates, kettlebells. Our dad was like, okay, since you guys really like this, why don't you go and find the closest weightlifting club? Kristof didn't tell me, but he went to a club. I want to go as well, can I come? And Kristof was like, no, you can't, because Laura, there's not even a female changing room. It's all the guys there. But then, I don't know, I was very persistent, and I always have my way, so I ended up going with him. The first time I qualified for the 2018 games, I was just very excited to be there and to compete.
It's my first memory of Laura was being like, who is this rookie? She's in the leader's jersey and she's winning, and just thinking like, okay, she's a beast. I can't wait to watch the rest of the weekend.
I was happy finishing second. I was happy I won a couple of events. I made kind of a name for myself. Well, the 2023 games was really a good time for me and my whole family. Like, everyone came to support me. My goal is always to win. And that year, I just didn't have any doubts in my mind that it's not gonna happen. It was really good to have my parents, my brothers there. So yeah, I just really had a very good time.
We show up to 2024 hoping it's going to be another great year. And then after the first event, Lazar passes away.
I think when things like tragedy happens, that you lose someone that could have happened to any one of us, like had made like a pit in my stomach.
Nobody really knew what to do, but all we knew was, okay, Thursday at 5 p.m. we have this athlete meeting to discuss what happens next. 300 people, if not more, in this meeting.
I know I'm an athlete and my job is to compete, but that just didn't sit well with me.
But I would say all of us felt uncomfortable proceeding. So Dave speaks and there's probably a moment of silence. And then you just hear two people stand up. And it's Laura and her brother in a room of silence. They're not afraid to make noise, and they stand up out of their seats and they leave.
Like, your actions and you as a person always should come first, rather than you as an athlete or you as, I don't know, whatever you achieved. And I don't know, it just didn't sit well with me to compete. So my goal this season is to take part in the WFP season and take home the championship there.
Okay, what is the World Fitness Project?
The concept of the World Fitness Project, I think, is new to everyone. So it just launched in 2025.
The World Fitness Project is a competition season where throughout 3 tour stops, we are competing in different fitness events, varying from strength to endurance to skill trying to find the most well-rounded athletes across the season.
It's supposed to be the best of the best. So it's the top 20 male, top 20 female. And then we have challengers coming in to compete with us.
People compete against one another at multiple events throughout the year, accumulating points, and then this will culminate at the end of the year and then crowning a champion.
The World Fitness Project season is 3 events. The first 2 are tour events in North America, and then the finals in December in Copenhagen in Denmark. First one being this weekend in Indianapolis. It's a 3-day event, 600 points on the line, 7 events.
Signer! So I'm done. Don't pass me that ball. I'm serious.
I enjoy the fact more that I get to do it with him rather than just doing the sport. So I think that was the main drive for me to start, because even when I was little, I always wanted to do whatever Kristof did, or, like just follow be his little shadow.
When we were growing up, I would rather say it was very annoying to have her around, because of most things that I did, she wanted to be a part of.
He didn't really appreciate it back at the time, but I think now looking back, he appreciates it more.
Na rendben. Jó, lélegező, ülj le egy kicsit azokra a tárcsai.
He loves to help other people, like if as a coach, as a friend, he loves to give advice, and he also gives very good advice.
Minden nagyon jól néz ki, minden nagyon jól érzed is, ugye? Jó. Ezért alveszem, annyi futás, annyi muscle up, annyi snatch.
He helps me as much as he can. He helps my younger brother as much as he can. So, yes, I think it's his, eldest child duties. He's really good at that.
Ilyet, ha meglátok, magadnak hozol csak csalódást azzal. Megyek, gép, túf. És amikor kell, lenyomom a pedált.
I am invested in her journey, emotionally, mostly. From a family perspective.
Odafigyelek arra, hogy futással kezdek az útvonalra. Nem előre gondolkozok, mindig arra a stációra gondolkozok, ahol vagyok. Hol futok be, nincsenek hibák.
Laura's given me a purpose in life. I'm a kind of person who shows up for others more than for myself.
Ezt vidd el magaddal, majd elveszem tőled. Szedd szét őket, Laura!
Day 1, the World Fitness Project's tour stop #1 in Indianapolis.
I'm always interested to see Laura's run, because I think that's a good indicator of where she is at in her development.
Before 3, 2, 1, go, obviously I'm nervous and excited a little bit, because you want to perform well. Every time I enter a competition, I'd like to win. That's just who I am. That's just, I guess, in my blood or something.
Her determination, when you're in it and you know her, it's pretty normal. It's nothing outstanding in that regard. It's just later in life, I realized when I met more and more people that her discipline and drive is very unique. So the work has been put in. She can navigate it extremely well, but still, there's a nervous element to it that is very hard to let go.
The last 2 rounds going to get a little bit tighter. Laura Horvath jumping back into that second position.
But Emma is finding back.
Yeah, Emma not just content to let Laura pass her. I love this.
Laura Horvath, gyerünk!
It is close, no mistake.
Tall Horvath, Kazan in the lead.
You saw how high Alex is catching, shortening the total length of that movement, a little bit faster turnover, and now she's off the rings first.
Kazan to start single reps. Emma Tall, Laura Horvath has come to the bow and potentially is going to get second. Danielle Brandon just needs to hang on here, and she will take the win. 17:55. No rep from Horvath.
Szokatsz, most komolyan mondom.
I'm not sure yet still what happened to me.
Oh, no rep again from Horvath.
but I think I just like pushed over my line.
She came just outside of her box. You have to stay in the lifting area.
Lowen in third.
It was just too much for my body. Like, I think mentally I could push, and I was pushing more.
What a crazy finish Emmett saw.
Towards the end of the event, I missed, I think, 3, 4, 5 snatches.
Horvath just couldn't nail that final rep, and Laura Horvath comes in.
Let's be real, Laura's one of the strongest women in the field. I don't think I've ever seen her fail a light barbell like that at that threshold. That only speaks to the intensity of this finish and the way these women were pushing each other to the brink.
Lélegezz egy picit.
You know, I can't really explain this feeling because I never felt it before. Like, I have thrown up from a workout, but I also not like this.
Oda rak fel a biciklire a lábad, és csak dőlj le. Like, the running felt very strong and she could push, but then the last 6 muscle-ups got like, you know, like a lot harder than like the round before and the last 6 snatches as well. She said she was like, she wanted to go for it, and then, you know, she like positioning error, I guess, just like fatigued in the last rep and then stepped in the line.
We have this rule to not get the highs too high and don't stay in the lows for too long either.
You know, if an event goes great, then you can get caught up in the highs because you have to, like, you know, cool down, rest, recover, and then prepare for the next one.
And then if it doesn't go well, then the biggest strength of a competitor in any sport, especially in our sport, is to be able to forget quickly.
After the event, like the 3, 4, even 5 hours, I was like out. I was pale, I threw up, I couldn't walk, I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink. And then I couldn't, like, I recovered, but I couldn't really recover for the next event. I was like, oh, it's gonna be great. I'm so good at sandbags, I'm so good at handstand walks, I can fly on the GHDs. And then I felt like I was pushing. I felt like I was like doing the best I can do, and then it just didn't show, you know?
Laura Horvath towards the back end of this heat.
But that was all I had because I couldn't recover from the first event. My expectation was that I'm gonna do great and I'm gonna win both events and do amazing, and that's not the case. And to be honest, after the first event, the whole weekend was just like, it kind of changed a little bit because it was like more of like a survival, like, can I recover for the next event? Can I recover for tomorrow?
Our second heat onto the competition floor. Laura Horvath, not who we expected. She will be in lane number 1.
Hey, I mean, every great champion has these things that pop up, and really what defines a champion is how they respond. And probably when they went back that night, they said, okay, we have 2 choices, like we always do. We can let it bring us down, or we can rise above it.
It's going to be a mad race to the finish. Laura Horvath with the result she needed, the hit back. Oh, Laura successful. Good steady pace. Start things off. Horvath in second.
And with 1 day to go, she's genuinely still in the hunt to win this thing. So the resiliency shines through on day 2.
Like, I knew that it was gonna be hard to come back from the first event, but I still believed in me.
Laura just extending her lead now.
And that top time is in serious danger right now. Laura showing no signs of slowing down.
Kazan, if she finishes in the same position, will maintain position at the top of the leaderboard. But Horvath storming home in the last day and a half. Composure and some emotion, yes! Horvath.
Laura, yesterday you were like the silent assassin in heat number 2, and then you come out with an unofficial event win to start day number 3. Is this game on?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, it's Sunday, it's my favorite day, so here to bring it.
Every time the cameras are on her, it is when it's business time. So that's why I think why Laura is so successful and the way she is, you know, there is work, her career, and there is fitness racing, and there is Laura the person. And you have to make sure that where your identity doesn't morph with your professional identity.
Winning means success, and like if you win, then you're successful. But I think for me, like having my family and friends and my loved ones around me supporting me and being there no matter what is a bigger success than like, you know, taking first place. Like I'm here to do my job, I'm here to win, so I'm not here to like chit chat or, I don't know, do all those things. And this Friday, Saturday, Sunday is gonna be like business, you know? Like I'm here to win this event.
Kazan, Kringle, Horvath, your top 3.
If you're just joining us, these women will tackle 30 calories on the row, 30 burpees over the ballistic block, 20 dumbbell thrusters with 2 50-pound dumbbells, and they'll take those dumbbells with them for 15 meters of overhead walking lunge.
Our final women's pro heats underway. Accumulate some points because we're building towards the final tour stop in Copenhagen in December this year.
And Laura Horvath back in a familiar position, charging up the leaderboard.
You know, I'm a person who like, I don't wanna, you know, if I play it safe, I just make the podium, it's gonna be great. Like I was like, if I win this event, I can still finish first.
And don't take the bait by going out too hot too early.
Put time on my foot, I did the row, I did the burpees.
It really comes down to that overhead walking lunge and whether or not you've saved enough in the tank to keep a good position and fight through those final few lunge steps.
Just imagine trying to, you know, balance an egg on a spoon, but your heart rate is up at 200, beats per minute.
Laura having to go back, a no rep. Oh. That's crucial.
I just went too fast and I just failed the lunge. The overhead lockout was just not there anymore, and I did, I think, 2 or 3 times.
There's nothing you can do about it. Even if you decide, I'm going to keep these dumbbells over my head and keep going, your body can kind of just shut those muscles down.
It was disappointing, but at the same time, I felt proud because I know, like, I tried. I think it's a worse feeling to, like, I could have done that, but I didn't. I think that's a worse feeling in your stomach than like, okay, I pushed, I gave my all, and it didn't work out.
That's kind of the difference between maybe my performances and the performances of folks who are champions. Like, champions are willing to risk it and go for it, and sometimes it doesn't work out, but they learn from it and come back better from it.
And on the leaderboard, it looks worse 9th place than 2nd or 3rd or 4th, but I think in my heart, it's still like, like I tried. It is what it is, and we come home, we continue working, recover, take notes, and see what we can do better for next time, for Arizona, and that's what I'm doing now.
When we started doing fitness, we didn't have a gym close by.
There was one gym in Hungary, which was like the complete opposite. Like, we live here, this is Budapest, and the gym was here. So it was like 2.5 hours commute to the other side, do an hour session, and commute back home.
So very, very slowly, we acquired a kettlebell, a wall ball, a barbell. And then when it was summertime, we worked out in the garden or in the very small shed, not like these American sheds, like a proper small shed. Or in the wintertime, we went up to the climbing column.
Kristof and my goal was to have our own gym. Like, we really wanted to have our own space and our own little community.
And by chance, we found this place, and it was perfect, and the price was right, and we just jumped in, and we signed the lease in the 1st of February.
So the first round, we're all gonna do it together, and Laura's gonna be doing it with you guys, so we all remember what is the next one.
And we can help people, regardless of their goals, that they can achieve in our space, where we can build a community that is supportive of one another and where they can come and, you know, just do fitness essentially.
That's the one, Liam. That's the one. Remember that one. That's the one.
I see it on my younger brother, I see it on my mom. She's 60 years old, she comes to the gym. Like the last 5 years, she started really working out with me, and now she joins the classes, and she smokes the like 20-something-year-old girls that come into the gym. It's crazy. At the beginning, I was kind of her role model because I got her into coming here, but now that she comes every day, she's my role model because I want to be as fit as she is when I'm that old, you know, when I'm in my 60s, after 3 kids.
Nagyon szeretek vele edzeni, mert ők ismernek engem. Tudják, hogy fáj a térdem, hogy nem tudok legugolni, hogy nem tudok megtanulni súlyt emelni, de mindig odafigyel Laura is, és Kristof is az edzéseimre. És együtt ez egy közös élmény napról napra. Anya és lánya, anya és fia, és ez egy nagyszerű dolog. Azt hiszem, hogy nagyon közel vagyunk egymáshoz. Nyilván azért is, mert a sport összeköt minket, de úgy is, mint család, mindegyikünk megértően, elfogadóan fordul a másikhoz. És ezért harmonikus, nagyon jó kapcsolatunk van. Azt hiszem, boldogok lehetünk és büszkék vagyunk a gyerekeinkre.
There's obviously like one function of the gym is to have a training space for Laura where she can train essentially undisturbed and with all the equipment she needs. She can set her own schedules, doesn't have to be around classes.
Since Indianapolis, I've been doing a lot of like lunges. They're still hard. Just I need to work on my lockout, like extension.
3, 2, 1, let's go. All right, get it.
Not even here. I mean, obviously this is the issue, but like I need to work on this lockout, like bone on bone. But to be honest, I mean, I shouldn't say this, but I hope they don't show up again. I'm working hard, and I'm trying to make sure that what happened in Indianapolis never happens again.
Hello everybody and welcome to Tour Stop number 2. We are live from Arizona Athletics Ground.
The goal was never to lead or like be in the beginning of the pack because I know that like sprinting the first part is not gonna pay off.
Laura Horvath in that 10th position, needs to make a move.
She's in phenomenal form in terms of running, like unreal.
Battle for third, the pack has now come together and it is going to be a mad sprint.
Look at Laura Horvath.
For so long she was kind of like stuck in a speed and like just stuck at running, like that's kind of maybe the best way to explain it. And now she's just broken out of it and the boosters are still on. Came in third and was really a phenomenal finish and great way to start a weekend.
This is our second workout of the day.
It's maybe one of the workouts we practiced the most, or some iterations of it, and she was quite prepared, I would say. Remember that? You know, it's not just, you cannot just pinpoint strict handstand push-ups, but what is the volume of it and what is the iteration of the movements in itself. And then all of a sudden, a longer transition is a big factor in just like losing time versus practicing in the gym.
Stuck with 37 reps to go.
It was just a bad finish. There's no other way to say it. And then she was, sitting at 13th overall.
Ő a középső gyermekünk, ugye 3-an vannak testvérek. Kristof a legidősebb, Otto a legkisebb, és Laura a középső.
My father is also very much a doer, I guess. He doesn't like to talk too much or overthink stuff. He just does it. And I think Laura is very, very similar in that way.
He supports me and my brothers as well. Yeah, I always looked up for him and to him and what he did, and I think I still do in a way.
Megharcolt ugyanúgy minden középső gyerek, hogy a saját helyét és a pozícióját kivívja ugye a családba. Ő egy nagyon erős személyiség, céltudatos, mellett egy nagyon kedves, szeretetre méltó gyerek.
I don't know, I also was a teenager, very stubborn. I didn't want my parents' help, so I want my brother's help, or I didn't want no one's help. And now that I'm older, a couple of years now, like 4 or 5 years now, I think I lean more on my dad. Like, he programs a little bit of my running, he's there at the gym with me.
Mindig mindenben versenyzett, tehát ez nagyon furcsa dolog, hogy ha az iskolában volt egy feladat, akkor ezt mindig ő akarta külsősként is először megoldani, megcsinálni, de ilyen egyszerű példát mondok rá, hogy egy vasárnapi ebédnél mindig ő győzött a leves megevésébe. Tehát
Starting the second day, after you're kind of like middle of the pack or lower, it kind of, at least for her, it lights a fire in her belly.
I knew I wanted to compete, but I didn't know the term professional athlete. At the beginning, when I started, I was like, hey Dad, I would like to travel to Athens, Jordan. Would you like to support me here? Really, like, I was, 17, 18 years old. I had no money. I was still in school.
It is redemption time for Laura, and she is coming strong.
If they would have said no, like, we don't have the budget for this, or we don't, like, this is not something we can support, then I wouldn't be here, you know.
Laura Horvath is going to take this out. It won't be the fastest time. It'll be the second fastest time. Laura Horvath, redemption, 10th.
Saturday is known for like moving day in the functional fitness world, so she was truly moving that day.
It's so cliche that you don't really learn from your wins and you learn from failures. I learned enough lessons. I lost so many times, like, I can't even remember how many times I finished second or worst on a competition, like didn't reach the podium that I wanted to. I don't want to learn more lessons. I just want to keep on winning, and it's easier said than done. The first time in Athens Throwdown, I won. And I think I've won like 5,000 euros. It was crazy because back in the day, like I didn't have a bank account, I didn't have anything. So I was like, they just gave me 5,000 euros in cash. I was like, hey dad, can you put this somewhere? Like, what do I do with so much money?
It was the first competition I seen her in a long time. She didn't want to lead from the beginning. Instead of like, hey, I need to prove a point, I can stay in front and I can destroy everyone. She was like, hey, wait a minute, like, I know myself. I'm gonna be just taking the steps I need to take to get the best out of me. And I think that happened throughout the whole weekend at Messa. You know, she's a veteran of the sport. But being a veteran of the sport, you also need to be mature enough to lean into that and to use that experience to your advantage. And she completely did that throughout the whole weekend.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about where we're at the point of this first WFP season, coming into the finals, Laura Horvath had a bit of an up and down experience already. Obviously, the first tour stop didn't quite go her way. It really wasn't that bad overall. It was a couple small mistakes on the first and last workout that put her in a position that we're not used to seeing her in, 9th place.
She learned from then and did so well at Mesa and now did so well at Rogues, winning both events.
Laura Horvath into the 5th and final round, and she is just demolishing this event, laughing the whole way while she does it.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing about the Rogue Invitational and the history of the Rogue Invitational on the women's side is if you're not named Tia-Clair Toomey or Laura Horvath, you never won.
Leading the charge and feeling good about it. She's enjoying every second of this.
I mean, look, the thing is, she just competed less than 2 weeks ago, and then now she's competing at the World Fitness Project final. The goal is literally to maintain that fitness. As soon as we get to know events, let's train specifically for them as much as they release, and just stay healthy and stay like, pay attention to her mental hygiene, for example. És utána van egy ilyen, mindig 125 méter úszás van közötte. És akkor she, bringa, meg she, bringa, she.
És az is jó, hogy nem rövid az 25. Hát de 125 az hihetetlen, sok embernek hosszú. Az a 100.
Az 500 méterben úgyis el. Azért az meg hosszú, 500 méter az nem. Swimming event. She's used to swimming for years, twice a week, so we're not gonna grab a skier and take it to the pool or a bike. She's not gonna practice. She just goes every Thursday, she does her swimming, and then that's gonna be that.
We are at the pool, clearly, and then I'm gonna have like an hour-long pool session, swimming, just swimming. Yeah, like usually like 2.5, 3K swimming, so a lot.
With WFP, we said, okay, we're gonna swim at the finals to challenge these athletes, specifically in a time trial, which has never been done in the sport. It was the first time we've taken athletes off-site. We took them to Sweden, and I think a lot of athletes haven't competed in that level of a field in a swim event in a couple of years.
It's going to be one of the hardest competitions of the year.
She's currently sitting tied in 2nd place, going into the finals. In terms of the top 5 girls, whoever accumulates the most points here will be crowned the world champion.
Lucy Campbell has been a professional swimmer.
Lucy Campbell already going at it hard.
She's never lost a swim workout, Lucy, in her career so far.
And a very decent swim from Laura Horvath. The battle for 2nd is on. Emma Toll, Laura Horvath, Amy Kringle.
On the starting swim, I think that Laura is also a great swimmer. Do her own thing there and focus on herself and try to just maximize the points.
All right, it's going to be Laura Horvath just by half a second.
And I feel like she can do very well. And I think that as the weekend progresses, the workouts get better and better for Laura.
Bomba kezdés. Apának nem lenne elég jó, de nekünk jó. Yeah, I is the fish.
Írtam, hogy nagyon jó volt, mindenki nézi.
Csing!
It is our second workout of the day and the first in Copenhagen.
Toughest workout of the weekend, in my opinion, for Laura. Everyone always knows she has a battle with handstand push-ups. The last couple times they've shown up, she's improved. Like, she's still finding ways to get better. And so for her to go and do well at those handstand push-ups, I know she loves to prove people wrong.
The battle with her and Amy Kringle right now is super fascinating because Amy's never really been on this top position. She's never had someone chasing her throughout the weekend. Amy comes in at the top spot. You've got a hungry Laura Horvath that wants this victory. I'm excited to see how that plays out for the rest of the weekend, to see who takes it come Sunday afternoon.
Laura. Jó, 3-tól van itt, 10 perc múlva egy masszázsod. Jó az. Igen, nagyon szép munka. Nem igaz, ez nem igaz.
Úgy leerőztem a végén, pedig mindent beleadtam.
De nem, nagyon, Laura, nagyon jó. Hétvége szempontjából jó.
I've seen a lot of different athletes in this sport have a person at their side that is a key component to their fitness and their performance in the competition. Matt Fraser has Matt O'Keefe, Tia Toomey has Shane Orr, Laura Horvath has Kristof. And having your brother, it's not a romantic relationship, it's just someone that I can trust, that can tell me how it is, and they speak very openly with each other.
Now we are talking as brother, sister. Now we are talking as athlete coach. Now we are, business partners. Like, it's just managing all those heads and like being able to not carry one thing over to another conversation, I think.
Laura, most ami jön, most itt a lehetőség, hogy minél több, hogy az összes pontot összeszed, és ők mennyit fognak, főleg ez a cselekít első lett. Itt van a lehetőség, hogy szeparáld magad. Mostantól van, most kezdted el megnyerni a hét végén.
Even 95 was like 2 years ago since I lifted that much.
Copenhagen, Laura Horvath, 97!
97 is a new, I think, personal best. It's been a while since I hit a personal best, I think.
Yeah, definitely coming into Saturday, kind of at the midway point of the competition, I think she was starting to build some momentum. I think she was looking at this day as the day to make the final step into the lead.
Laura.
And if I know anything about Laura Horvath, I don't think she plans on giving that up.
Yeah. Metronome. Te irányítasz, kapaszkodjál ebbe bele.
There's only a few seconds between 1 and 2, Kringle and Horvath. And Laura Horvath cycling just a little bit quicker than Amy Kringle.
Figyelj, hogy alapvetően az, hogy milyen kicsi szetteket csinálsz, az nem számít. De azzal a pihenő mértéke is csökken, Laura.
There's a third break for Laura Horvath on the final 50. Kringle not far away.
Laura, tényleg meg kell tolni a 30-at egy kicsit majd, jó?
Oh, Horvath, a massive set of pull-ups. The crowd responds.
Pihenő munka, te irányítasz.
Horvath, come on! A win here will put Laura into the lead on the Copenhagen leaderboard.
This workout won't be super hard from a muscle breakdown standpoint, but it will be super hard from a mental breakdown standpoint and staying focused. And it's high speed. A lot of these athletes will be under 4 minutes.
gyerünk!
More importantly for Laura, Amy Kringle and Lucy Campbell both still out on the floor.
Kicsit amúgy valótam egy kicsit savasodott? Semmi? Csak egy hibás lépés?
Aha, hát így az a baj, hogy nem volt elég lendületem, és gondolom, hogy kicsibe, de aztán nagyba, ki nem tudom, hogy akkor mellé zárják, vagy túllépjük, és akkor jött.
Jó, hát ezt most elengedjük, jó?
Ja, és kurva jó, vagyis hogy jó volt. Egy perccel gyorsabb vagy, mint gyakorolni.
Gyakorolni. De minden eddig, Laura.
Ja.
She just looked in control. I know that her and Kristof have been working on the running, and the composure, if you look at her shoulders, her jawline, where her arms are at on that true from runner tonight, very relaxed. And she was, in my opinion, never in doubt of missing that clean at any point.
But Saturday is always Laura's day. Whether that's here, she's done it at Rogue Invitational, she always really has a really good Saturday, and that puts her in a really good position for the end of the weekend.
Laura will address the bar first. This has got to be precise. Gets it done. Can't get it. Horvath done in 13:50.
It has been a very, very long year. This is the 5th competition she's doing this year. This is arguably one of the biggest ones, or the biggest ones when it comes to the World Fitness Project. To be here and being in this very privileged position of racing for a World Championship title, like, this is amazing. At the end of the day, all we ever ask for is a chance, and the chance is right here. Now it's gonna be up to her to seize it or not.
I think a little extra focus on good positions early on with that dumbbell, figuring out your cadence.
The volume of the dumbbell with the increasing weights leaves a little bit of room for air. You could go out a little too hot, the shoulders could give way. There's been a lot of overhead demand already this weekend.
Amy Kringle into 3rd now. This is the result that Amy Kringle needs. Wells jumping ahead of Laura Horvath, but only just.
Look at Laura's speed. She could catch Kringle here. Amy really fighting for these last couple of reps. Laura got 2 no reps on that last set of 8.
Oh, Amy Kringle. That's going to be tight, and Brooke Wells just ahead of Laura Horvath.
Laura's in a good position, so it's kind of all eyes on what she can do. The only other 2 ladies that we're looking at that could make that move to win it all is Emma Lawson and Amy Kringle.
Crowd is ready. The final heat coming up for the World Fitness Finals.
Yeah, that workout's pretty nasty. And with the races that we're seeing, you know, formulating, there could be people taking big risks to try and get a world championship or get on the podium or even get a pro card, you know, deeper down the leaderboard.
Keep an eye on Amy, who's really her biggest threat right now. And if she just stays really close to her, maybe makes a move towards the end of those 2 workouts to ensure the championship, she doesn't have to beat the rest of the field. Beat Amy, win the title, be the first WFP champ.
Amy Kringle, oh, she is finding a way.
Laura's got to hurry. The other scores are starting to factor in.
she never identified herself as an athlete first. She was always Laura first. But I think after truly experiencing running a space, it really has cemented the importance of helping others on their journey. And I think it has taken the importance of competing and all this over-amplified just feeling of like winning, doing well, not doing well, and put it a bit more into its place, and she could truly become herself within the four walls of Kaduzs strength and conditioning, and finding her true calling as helping others. And I think that has taken off the pressure of like winning a competition and doing well versus like, hey, I get to do this, and then when I get back home, everything is business as usual, and competing is something that she does for herself. I'm not so sure how much she can be herself in a competition, where I know that when it comes to the gym, she can truly be herself.
Most lazítunk, most kiengedhetjük végre, Laura, az egész évet kiengedheted most magadból. Fuf, nagyon jó év volt, basszus. Meg érted? Versenyek, jó hosszú év, de oh my god, hát mennyit versenyeztél, milyen jó eredménye. Win, lose or draw, semmi nem változik. Minden fasza. Tényleg, minden legjobb. Best ever. Most jelenleg a peaken vagyunk. És még remélhetőleg még lesz követő. Na.
Menjünk, meghívtak.
Jó. Na, egy ölelés. Na, gyere. Jaj, valami nagyon gér.
Your WFP season champion. Make some noise for Laura Horvath.
This year has been very big for us. We try to not compare to others, and I feel like in some ways we have taken light year jumps compared to where we were a year ago. In other aspects, sometimes I just feel about the same thing, that this is only the beginning, and probably both of those are true. So I'm just maybe the most proud of that we have maintained our integrity, and we have not lost sight of our values and the people we are and the people that are close to us.
Now we go over to big one.
Yeah.